Hannah Brooks had always been the dependable one. The girl everyone could rely on, kind, patient, forgiving. Her friends used to joke that she had a therapist's heart. Maybe that's why people loved coming to her for advice. Maybe that's why they loved taking advantage of her, too. It all started 6 months ago, when Hannah's life finally seemed perfect. She had just been promoted at her marketing job in Boston, and her boyfriend, Ethan Cole, had started dropping hints about moving in together. He was charming, ambitious, and had that confident, easygoing smile that made her feel like she was the luckiest girl in the world. And then there was Ava Grant, Hannah's best friend since college. They'd been inseparable for 8 years. Ava was everything Hannah wasn't: loud, spontaneous, effortlessly beautiful. But they balanced each other out, or so Hannah thought. Ethan and Ava had met through Hannah at her birthday party. She remembered the first night they shook hands, the spark in Ava's eyes, the polite smirk on Ethan's face. Back then, she didn't think much of it. Why would she? These were the two people she trusted most in the world. The subtle cracks. A few weeks later, little things began to shift. Ethan started texting less. Busy with work, he'd say. Ava, on the other hand, became distant too. Whenever Hannah invited her over, she'd suddenly have plans. Then came the night everything began to unravel. Hannah was finishing a late report at her office when she realized she'd left her phone charger at Ethan's place. He lived just 10 minutes away. She decided to swing by. No warning, just a surprise visit to her boyfriend. The snow was falling gently that night, the city lights reflecting off the streets like liquid gold. Hannah smiled as she knocked on Ethan's apartment door. She imagined the look of surprise on his face, the hug, the warmth, the laughter. But instead of Ethan, Ava opened the door. Her hair was messy, tied up in the same bun she wore when she was at home. Hannah's smile froze. "Ava, what are you doing here?" Ava blinked rapidly, stammering. Ethan wasn't feeling well. I brought him soup." "Soup?" Hannah repeated, stepping inside before Ava could block the doorway. The living room lights were dim. A familiar sweatshirt, Ethan's, lay crumpled on the couch. And there were 2 glasses of wine on the coffee table. Ava's hand trembled slightly as she set her phone down. Hannah's chest began to tighten, the sound of her heartbeat echoing in her ears. Where is he? A door creaked open from the hallway. Ethan appeared, shirtless, pale, his expression collapsing the moment he saw her. "Hannah, She didn't let him finish. The silence that filled the room was sharp, suffocating. She looked at Ava, her best friend, the person who knew every fear, every secret. And for the first time, Hannah saw a stranger. Her voice broke when she spoke. "You two deserve each other." Then she walked out. The aftermath, for weeks, Hannah disappeared from everyone's lives. She stopped answering calls, stopped going to gatherings. Her world had crumbled. Her mother, Diane Brooks, noticed her daughter's hollow eyes and quiet dinners. "Sweetheart, you need to let it go," she said gently one night. But Hannah couldn't. Not when the people she'd trusted most had destroyed her. And then, one morning, she received an invitation. Ethan's parents were hosting a family dinner, a reunion of sorts, and Hannah's family had been invited too. The Coles had always treated Hannah like one of their own, unaware of what had happened. When Diane asked if she wanted to go, Hannah almost said no. But then, an idea sparked in her mind. Maybe, just maybe, she could finally take her power back. She spent the next few days planning, quietly, strategically. She didn't tell her mother what she was going to do. All she said was, "Yes, Mom, I'll go." The calm before the storm, the night of the dinner arrived. Hannah dressed simply, a pale blue dress, soft curls framing her face. She looked calm, but inside, her heart burned with quiet fire. The Cole family home was glowing with warm lights and laughter when she arrived. Ethan's mother, Linda, hugged her tightly. "Oh, Hannah, it's been ages. I'm so happy you came." Ethan appeared a few seconds later, wearing that same confident smile. But now it seemed forced. Behind him, Ava was there too, laughing with guests, holding a wine glass, pretending everything was fine. Hannah greeted them both politely. "Ethan, Ava." Ava froze. Ethan looked like he'd swallowed glass. Dinner began with cheerful chatter. The long table was filled with family friends, relatives, and both parents' groups. Halfway through, Linda raised her glass. "I'm so happy we're all together again. Let's toast to love, friendship, and forgiveness." The word forgiveness echoed in Hannah's mind. She smiled slowly. "Oh, I'd love to make a toast too," she said, her voice calm, too calm. Everyone turned to her. Ethan stiffened. Ava's smile faded. Hannah stood, holding her glass, her eyes glistening under the light. "To love," she began softly, "and how sometimes it teaches us who truly deserves it." The room quieted. "To friendship," she continued, her tone sharpening, "and how betrayal can wear the face of someone you trusted with your life." A murmur rippled across the table. Ava shifted uncomfortably. "Hannah, maybe this isn't—" "Oh, I'm not finished," Hannah said, her voice suddenly cutting through the noise like glass. She pulled out her phone from her purse and turned it toward the crowd. "You all should see what real friendship looks like." On the screen was a photo, Ethan and Ava, together in Ethan's apartment, taken from the night Hannah had walked in. The room fell dead silent. Linda gasped. Ethan's father slammed his fork down. Ava's face turned ghostly white. "Hannah, please." "You lied to my face," Hannah snapped. "Both of you. You stole from me. Not just love, but trust." Tears welled up in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Ethan tried to speak, but Linda stood first. "Is this true, Ethan?" He hesitated, and that hesitation said everything. Linda's expression crumbled. "You cheated on Hannah? With her best friend?" Gasps filled the table. Ava covered her face in shame. Ethan just stared down, his perfect image shattered. Hannah placed her glass down gently. "I came here tonight not for revenge," she said softly. "I came to remind you, and myself, that I'm done being quiet." Then she turned, her voice trembling but fierce. "You wanted to humiliate me behind my back? Congratulations. Now everyone knows who you really are." And with that, she walked out, leaving behind stunned silence and two broken liars at the table. The cold night air hit Hannah as she stepped outside. Her heart pounded wildly, but her hands no longer trembled. For the first time in months, she felt something she hadn't known since before the betrayal. Peace. Behind her, the muffled chaos from the dining room spilled through the closed doors. Raised voices, broken apologies, her name being called. But Hannah didn't turn back. She got into her car, started the engine, and drove off into the glowing Boston night, tears finally streaming down her cheeks. They weren't tears of pain anymore. They were tears of release. The next morning, her phone buzzed nonstop. Text messages. Missed calls, voicemails. Her mother's voice cracked over one of them. "Honey, are you okay? I'm proud of you. You had every right to say what you did." But the ones from Ethan and Ava were different. "Please, Hannah. You don't understand. Let's just talk. We made a mistake. You ruined everything. Are you happy now?" She deleted every single one. By afternoon, the news of what happened at the Cole family dinner had spread across their social circle. It wasn't Hannah's doing. Someone at the dinner had filmed part of her speech. Within hours, clips of her calmly exposing them were circulating online among mutual friends and coworkers. One comment under the video read, "This girl's grace is unmatched." She burned them without even raising her voice. Another, "That's how you handle betrayal, with elegance and truth." For once, the humiliation didn't belong to her. Ava's Falava tried to call her, dozens of times. When that didn't work, she showed up at Hannah's workplace 2 days later. "Hannah, please. I swear I didn't mean for it to happen." Ava's eyes were red, her voice trembling. "It was just, we were both drunk, and then it got complicated. Ethan said he loved you, but..." Hannah interrupted, her tone soft but unflinching. "Don't you dare use love as your excuse. You didn't just steal my boyfriend, Ava. You broke something sacred. And you know what hurts most? You didn't even look guilty until you got caught. Ava sobbed quietly. Can we please fix this? Hannah shook her head. You can't fix a friendship that never really existed. That was the last time they ever spoke. Ethan's apology Ethan was next. He came by her apartment one evening, unannounced, holding flowers, as if that could erase months of deceit. She opened the door just enough to meet his eyes. He looked broken, a version of himself stripped of arrogance. Hannah, I messed up. I panicked. I didn't mean to hurt you like that. You were the best thing that ever happened to me. She stared at him for a long moment. Then why did you do it? He hesitated, fumbling for words. I don't know. I thought I could get away with it. I thought she meant nothing. Hannah's lips parted slightly, a bitter smile curving. You were right about one thing, Ethan. She did mean nothing. But so do you now. She closed the door slowly, leaving him standing there in silence. Healing weeks passed. The sting of betrayal faded into quiet strength. Hannah began journaling again, writing about what she'd learned, not about them, but about herself. Her therapist once told her, revenge is not about hurting others. It's about reclaiming your story. And that's exactly what she had done. Her story, the girl who once stayed silent, had become one of courage and boundaries. She even started a small blog under the name The Dinner Table Truth, where she shared advice about emotional healing, trust, and forgiveness. It grew fast. People resonated with her story, not because she humiliated someone, but because she chose herself in a world that expected her to stay quiet. The unexpected, call 3 months later, Hannah got a call from an unfamiliar number. Hi, is this Hannah Brooks? The voice asked. Yes? This is Michelle Adams from Boston Life magazine. We came across your blog and the story that's been circulating online. We'd love to feature you in an article about modern resilience and empowerment. For a moment, Hannah couldn't breathe. Me? Yes, you. You stood up for yourself when others would have stayed silent. That takes courage. The full circle moment, a few weeks later, Hannah attended the magazine's small dinner event, this time as an honored guest. The atmosphere was warm, welcoming, filled with people who had overcome their own heartbreaks. As she took the stage to give a short talk, her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes shone with confidence. I once thought revenge meant hurting someone who hurt you, she began. But I've learned that real revenge is healing, growing, and refusing to let betrayal define you. The audience applauded softly. Hannah smiled, scanning the faces in front of her. Strangers who now looked at her with admiration, not pity. Her parents were in the front row, smiling proudly. For a moment, she thought of Ethan and Ava, where they might be now, how they might feel every time someone mentioned that viral dinner clip. But the thought didn't bring satisfaction anymore. It brought closure, because in the end, Hannah didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. She simply let the truth speak louder than their lies. Final scene. As she walked home that night under the city lights, her phone buzzed again, another message request. It was from Ethan. I saw the article. I'm glad you're doing well. You always deserved better. She stared at it for a long second, then hit delete. The cold air brushed against her face, but she felt nothing but warmth. For the first time since that night at the dinner table, Hannah Brooks finally smiled, not the forced kind she used to wear, but a real one, because the girl who had once been betrayed had found something stronger than revenge. She had found herself.